Hello Eurovision friends, thank you so much for coming to this channel, Eurovision Histories. We now have the running order of the grand final and I want to analyze it as I did last year. There have also been some developments since the end of semi-final 2 and I'll touch upon that a little bit as well. However, before starting with the analysis, I wanted to give you a few pointers what I base my opinion on. Number one is, and this is new this year, voting will open before the first song is performed. So the running order might have a bit less of an impact because people can actually vote from the very first song. And so the songs earlier on in the running order might get a little bit of an advantage and even out some of the disadvantages that we're going to talk about now. Because in general, being later in the running order is better because of several reasons. One of them is recency bias. So if you've heard a song more recently, you're more likely to remember it and then also more likely to pick up the phone and vote for it. We have statistical data that being later on in the running order is usually a good thing and boosts your chances a little bit at least. Then we also have some ratings data that shows that a lot of people tune in later on in the show and miss the first couple of songs. And then it doesn't really matter whether the voting lines are open earlier or not, because people will just not have seen your song. We know from Spain, for example, or from some southern European countries that a lot of people tune in a bit later because traditionally the prime time over there starts a bit later as well. You can also imagine people hosting a party, people coming late, arriving late, and then they have missed the first couple of songs. And the probability that they will vote for a song that they haven't even seen is much lower. So that is why another reason why being early in the running order is also not the best thing. Then we also have to look at what is around you. If you're a ballad and you follow 3 other ballads that are better than you, singing better than you, are more engaging than you, that is not good. Same thing if you're a upbeat pop song and you're kind of in a field of upbeat pop songs, you might get lost in a sea of similar entries. So we'll be looking at that. We can also talk about similar songs in a similar genre being spread out in the running order and the song that is later on in the running order in that genre maybe getting a bit of a boost because of recency bias and people that like this kind of genre maybe forgetting about a song that is earlier on in the running order. And then this is more of a joke, but don't be second because all of you know, every Eurovision fan knows, no song has ever won from the second position. So let's look at the first 5. We have Sweden opening the final. We knew this weeks ago because the host nation, of course, draws the exact position in the running order and they drew first. Marquez and Martinez, this is a great start, I do think, to the final, and it almost couldn't have been better because it is a very Eurovision-y song. It's a mainstream song, so viewers won't be turned away right away. And this will help them get into the show, I do think. It also will help get the arena going because they're, of course, the homeboys, even though they're from Norway, but representing Sweden. And it's a good song to start Eurovision with, the final at least. So, yeah, a good draw. Then we have in second position, the position that no country has ever won from, Ukraine. This is a bit surprising because they are one of the favorites, even at the moment. And putting them in second place is a bit of an interesting choice because obviously no country has ever won from second place. If there's a country that can manage to do it, it's Ukraine, I would say. Pacing-wise, this actually makes sense, I think, because you have this pop song from Sweden, very slick, very mainstream, and then you have this very dramatic, very well-staged song from Ukraine with traditional elements. So it's kind of Eurovision galore and will keep people interested, especially the Ukrainian staging also keeps you engaged and will keep casual viewers watching. So that is quite good. And I'm quite sure that Ukraine will do very, very well. I'm not sure whether their chances are completely gone now because I also have to say that, I forgot that in the beginning, the running order is not that important sometimes. So if there's ever going to be a country that wins from second position, I think it's Ukraine. Then in third, we have Germany. I had a bit of hope that we might not come last, but seeing this coming after this very intense vocal, very anthemic vocal by Ukraine, and then we have the very good vocal by Isaac, but it kind of loses a bit of its impact maybe coming after Jerry Heil, who is also a very good vocalist. So I'm not sure what this will mean. I do think that this might actually be lost in the televote in the end, unfortunately. I do hope that the juries recognize the vocal power of this and give it a few points so we don't come last this time. But yeah, pacing-wise, it's also quite good because you go from an entry with rap parts, with traditional parts, to a more mainstream radio-friendly part. So the people that don't like the traditional stuff, they will enjoy Germany. Then we have Luxembourg as well. A bit of a choice having Luxembourg and the Netherlands so close together because the flags are so similar and maybe people might get confused. I don't know. Obviously, Luxembourg got the last position in the semifinals, so giving them the fourth position in the final kind of makes sense, like an equalizer a little bit. This will not be a great running order position for Luxembourg. I think people might forget about it, especially because other female-led pop songs are coming on later on in the show that are also, that might just be more memorable for people. I do think that Luxembourg could get a good jury vote, though, because it's a well-performed song and it's a very intricate composition in a way, and a very good production, and juries will like that, so we shall see what happens. Then we have the Netherlands with Joost Klein. This is also surprising because it's another favorite that is put very early on in the running order. Pacing-wise makes a lot of sense because you have two radio-friendly songs and then you have the craziness of the Dutch entry. In the semifinal, this completely engaged the audience and they really went with it, and it was a great moment in the semifinal. But seeing this so early and having more televote-friendly songs coming after it now, like Croatia, like Estonia, I think its chances have dwindled just a teeny tiny bit. Then in sixth position, we have Eden Golan for Israel. Pacing-wise, this makes a lot of sense because you have this crazy Euro dance song that is Joost Klein and Europapa with a very impactful and busy staging as well. And after that, you have a more traditional ballad with Israel and Eden Golan. So the contrast is very good for both of them, I think. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense. Both of them, of course, quite early on in the running order, which might be a bit of a disadvantage. The development that has happened since the end of semifinal 2 is that the Italian broadcaster Rai has published, apparently by mistake, their televote numbers from the second semifinal, which Italy voted in. And Israel got a huge amount of that televote, around 40%. The odds have now reacted to this as well. Israel is second in the odds now. And there is now, of course, a scenario where you see a lot of televotes going for Israel in lots of European countries on Saturday. So people are seeing now that Israel has the possibility to win the whole thing. Of course, there's also lots of media attention around the entry, which will create even more momentum and even more attention for the entry. So I do see this as a more likely scenario now than I did a few hours ago even. But I would also say that the televote in an Italian semifinal is usually not very representative of what will happen in the final. Low viewing numbers and very few people voting. So, but 40% is quite a lot. So maybe this year it is indicative of what will happen. I just don't know. There's also a theory that Angelina Mango was right before Israel, and some people in Italy might have gotten confused and thought they had to vote for her to qualify. We know that in a few participating countries, there's always huge numbers trying to vote for their own country. I don't know. I mean, on Sunday morning, we will either say, yeah, it was indicative of what was going to happen, or we will say, well, it was all a bit overdone. We don't know. I don't know. However, after Israel, we have Lithuania with a pop song. So again, a good contrast for both of them. And then we have a run of songs that is actually quite interesting, I have to say. Luktelk, of course, this very cool pop song. Then we have Spain with Sorda, quite out there for a lot of people, I think, mostly also because of the performance. Then we have Estonia, very televote friendly, very out there entry as well. And then we have Ireland, which has, of course, a great staging, but I think also a very polarizing staging for a lot of people. So these will be 4 songs that a lot of people will be like, whoa, what is happening? A lot is happening. Not sure whether this will hurt or help a lot of these entries. I do tend to think that a few of them will be heard a bit more, especially Spain, because Spain depends on the televote. I don't think a lot of juries will go for this 100%. So being so early on in the running order might hurt them a little bit. And yeah, it's quite an intense 4 songs. And then when we look at the next 5 songs, that is actually an amazing lead-in for Latvia. He will seem like such a sea of calm after everything that happened in the previous 4 songs. So I can see Latvia doing pretty well, getting a bit of the ballot vote as well. And I can actually see Latvia getting a good chunk of the jury votes. Then after Latvia, we have Greece, also very visually busy and also musically quite busy performance. So again, a great contrast between the ballad from Latvia and the song from Greece. I think that the 4 songs that come after Latvia are again a bit of a streak where there's a lot happening on the stage, visually, performance-wise, so that might hurt all of them a little bit. However, when you look at the music styles, you have the UK coming after Greece. Again, the performance is quite busy, both of them, but the music for the UK is more of a standard mainstream pop song, so there is a contrast there. Then you have the folk rock from Norway, so a nice contrast. And I think Norway coming right before Italy might actually help Italy a little bit as well, because Norway is very intense, and this will be quite a polarizing entry, music-wise, I think. And people that don't really like this intensity will be positively surprised by Italy, I do think. Then after Italy, and that is also helping both of them, we have Serbia, a ballad. So a nice contrast again between the Latin Mediterranean vibes of Italy and then the ballad from Serbia. And Serbia and then later also Portugal are both helped being so close to Finland, I think, because people like, and Finland is also helped being between these 2 ballads, because people that like a funny entry will be wanting that after seeing the Serbian performance, and people preferring ballads and liking more subdued and, normal, let's say, performances will be happy to have Serbia before and Portugal after Finland. So I think all 3 of them are actually helped quite a bit by this running order. This is also the first time in a very long time that Portugal is actually in the second half of the grand final, which is great because this song deserves a lot of love and this might get it a few more televotes. And I do also think that this contrast with Finland will be impactful for the juries as well, and more juries will maybe give Portugal points because they see it even more as an elegant and very authentic and beautiful ballad. Then after Portugal, we have Armenia. Visually a great contrast. You have black and white Portugal and then this very colorful performance from Armenia. Also musically, it's quite different, even though both of them are a bit traditional in what they are doing. And I actually think that Cyprus in 20th position has gotten a very good running order, because you have a ballad in Serbian in 16th position, then this crazy entry from Finland in 17th position, a ballad in Portuguese in 18th position. Then you have a song in Armenian with very traditional elements in 19th position. And by this point, the people that prefer mainstream English pop songs will be like, when is the next normal song coming along? And that might be Cyprus for them. So Cyprus, and also 20th is, of course, late in the running order. So Cyprus has been given a good running order in this case, I do think. These are the last 6. And this is actually the most interesting part of this whole discussion, I would say. We have Nemo in Switzerland in 21st position. We have Slovenia 22nd, Croatia 23rd. What is right before Switzerland? Cyprus. That will make Switzerland seem more experimental. The performance is amazing. It's so risky. I am really kudos to Nemo for doing all that and still sounding like the studio version. I can see a lot of juries shower this with a lot of points, and being so late in the running order will also help this with the televote. After that, we have Slovenia in 22nd position. I think an interesting contrast again with Switzerland, even though both of them might seem a bit experimental to the casual viewer. And Slovenia has gotten a very good running order spot in 22nd position. But looking at the 2 entries that are next to it, the number 1 favorite and number 3 favorite at the moment, That doesn't necessarily mean that it will be forgotten, but it's not the greatest spot in the running order to be in, to be surrounded by these very impactful and songs that are favorites at the moment. For Croatia, I think this is a great running order spot. Baby Lasagna is also holding strong in the betting odds, even though there are a lot of changes. He's still at 41%, and the running order has kind of confirmed people's idea that this might be the winner. And a lot of winners have come from this part of the running order, so I wouldn't be surprised if this actually helps him. Then we have Georgia after that, which might impact Croatia a little bit negatively because it's also an up-tempo song. But actually, I think in direct comparison, maybe Georgia will actually suffer a bit more from coming right after Croatia, the big favorite, a lot of energy in the hall. But Nutza will also continue the energy, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. Then, and this is, for me, the big thing, we have France, the first ballot in a long while. When was the Portugal is, according to my interpretation of genres, the last ballad we saw. This is a very good performance, vocally very strong. This will get a lot of jury points. There were a few moments with the camera thing and also the focus on the hands, which I didn't think was that great, but I had very high expectations, and I saw that a lot of people loved this performance. And being so late on in the running order is obviously great for a ballad, and also coming after Experimental Switzerland, kind of out there Slovenia, a very intense rock song from Croatia, and then this very intense also song from Georgia. This is the best running order spot France could have asked for. And maybe they can do it in some way if the televote is completely split and France gets a huge part of the jury vote. Maybe they could actually do it. I can't quite see it, but the running order has made me think a bit more positively about a possible French win. Also because right after it we have Austria with a Euro pop 90s song, which is also very out there. So France really stands out in all of this and could really do quite well. I can't quite see it winning, but we shall see what happens. Later on in the day, I will do my full prediction of the grand final, so come back for that. But generally, for the running order, I think Ukraine hurt a little bit, the Netherlands hurt a little bit, France and Croatia getting very good running order spots, Switzerland also a very good running order spot, and otherwise, my personal favorite, Portugal, as you can see here, getting quite a good running order spot as well. Italy, not as much 100%. So this is my first reaction to the running order. Let me know in the comments what you think. Who will be most impacted positively or negatively by this running order? Let me know in the comments, and do subscribe to this channel because more content is coming soon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video if you want to. See you then, and bye-bye.